Ho, ho, ho. How you doing? It's Mike.
And Katie.
And this week is episode 109. What are we talking about?
It's the final Christmas episode
On Cup of Rad. Hello, everyone. This is Mike from the North Pole. We're on a secret mission to find Santa Claus. Yeah, see?
I'm gonna give everyone the heads up. Mike's in a weird mood right now.
I'm in a fantastic mood. I'm here for your pleasure, your earhole pleasure on this Christmas episode.
So it is winter officially, and it snowed on the first day of winter here.
Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Kiddo was so excited. He has also wished now for Christmas to stay, for the snow to stick around for Christmas, because he told us he wanted Animal Crossing snow, where he just wants it permanently just snow around. And I was like, it's all well and good when we can mostly stay home right now.
Right.
But it is really pretty out there, actually.
Well, the other day when it was snowing, it was rainy, soupy snow. It was wet.
Oh, it was just slop.
We walked to the store, me and him, and he's like, wow, those lyrics really are quite true. It's frightful, and it's not, but it's not delightful. It's soupy and wet.
See, it's nice from the window inside.
Frosted window pane.
Or when you're actually getting to play in it.
Yeah, and it was, but it snowed. It was pretty. It
broke some tree branches.
Lots of tree branches came down. It was that
so
heavy and wet.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Remind us.
But it is the final Christmas movie episode. It's the final countdown, as one would say.
You know what's so funny? You said the final, and I just want to scream countdown.
It's the final countdown.
See, that had to make it into this episode.
Dun, 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 dun,
He's in a singing mood.
Well, we don't have a Christmas Carol episode, so.
I know, right? So, but yeah, we're almost there, man. Almost there.
And you might be listening to this after Christmas, so hey,
you survived.
But here we are. We found something out that was really fantastic. It was sad too at the same time, because Thundercats Roar has been canceled.
Sadness.
In the States, it's had its complete run, but in Canada, not so much. It went to episode 28, and then just stopped. And then magically, we saw on our PVR, we had Mandora Saves Christmas.
Yeah, just random Thundercats Roar episode. We're all sweet.
Yeah, and what I can tell is that's one of the last episodes, actually, of the series. So I'm hoping that we get to see the rest, because it's
cool. They actually aired it up here then, since they just ignored the other half of the season.
Right? They were just like, whatever. They didn't do the Thanksgiving one.
There was things that they were referencing in this episode that we were like, yeah, that didn't happen in what we've seen.
Didn't make sense.
Awesome.
We don't want to go to prison again. Space prison again. Wait, you never went there yet.
Prison? So yeah, we got to watch Mandora Saves Christmas, and the episode title was completely deceiving, which was quite funny.
Does not save Christmas.
But
it was hilarious in the Thundercats style.
Yeah.
It's the idea that, Santa's gets pulled over by the fuzz.
Yep.
By Mandora.
Who's a terrifying space cop.
Right.
Oh my gosh. She's just so overwhelming, intense. I thought it was funny because Lionel is basically like, he's running from the law and all this sort of stuff, and then all of a sudden Santa says that he's spreading goodwill and cheer, and instantly Lionel's like, you're the best person in the whole world, and I will do everything possible. I will defend this holiday with my life. Just like and after watching the Thundercats,
yeah,
I love the poking fun at that idea, where because Lionel is so extreme in his emotions, right?
Yeah.
And it's just, he's so gung-ho to do what's right, and sometimes that it's a little too trusting, and it's such a satire on it itself, because it was just so blaringly like, I don't know anything about this, but I love this holiday. It's the best thing ever.
I will save it for you.
Yeah.
I had fun with the episode. It was pretty funny. Like it went by really quick, because it was still just the 11-minute episode.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna be like more to it, but
I love it because Mandora shows up at Thunderlair or Catslayer, and they're Thunderlair
is what they call the bedroom.
Thanks. I'm good. It's like, if you've seen this man at all, you're helping a fugitive and everything like that. And they're like, no, we haven't seen him, And then all of a sudden Lionel shows up and brings Santa in there. It's like, everyone has to save it. And Tiger's just so pissed.
Yeah.
It's like, we can't do this.
We must save this man from Mandora. He's done nothing wrong. He's the jolliest man around. He's trying to save Christmas.
But then he turns them all by goodwill and chill, except for Tiger. He's like, I don't know about this still.
And presents. You've given us the number one thing to change our mind. Presents.
Right? So that was a fun little...
But if you want some ridiculous humor and all that, definitely look for Thundercats Roar. Mandora Saves Christmas. Christmas, 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 Christmas.
We've been trying to find some like Christmas episodes of things. We've been watching a few Office Christmas Party, The Office Christmas episodes, which are always their Christmas parties, which are quite funny. I found
and depressing. They're so depressing.
That whole series is actually really
rewatching it. I'm just like, it's got its funny moments, but it's like really like.
Well, Michael's just bleak. So horrible.
Yeah,
like he's such a big baby.
Yeah,
and. It's just, oh my goodness. Like even the first one I watched one without you, and not Pam, the blonde, the really angry, bitchy, controlling one.
Oh, yeah,
she's just so mean and awful. And it's funny, but it was just like, there's not a lot of joy in this one. I've watched some Friends episodes. We watched the Community one.
Community, I love those episodes.
You can't go wrong.
So find the Community episodes of Christmas. There's only like 3 of them. Yeah. Not that hard to watch.
One of them is in claymation.
Mm-hmm. Because how can you go wrong with some Christmas claymation?
Right? I mean, it's just the way it
Later in the episode, we'll tell you how you can go wrong with Christmas claymation.
It's coming soon. So we watched that. So that's some of the TV stuff we've been watching.
Yeah. We watched the Looney Tunes 24-karat Christmas episode.
Yes.
The new Looney Tunes thing. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, those episodes have been interesting for sure. They're not like hysterical, but they remind me of the old.
So much of the old
stuff, right? And so, I mean, there's always hit and misses with that old stuff too, where it just doesn't resonate with you, right? The Tasmanian Devil one was quite funny.
I think it was probably the best one on there.
Yeah.
And the I did like the Daffy and Porky one, where they were like working for Santa.
Yes.
And Santa was such a dick. Find out.
Well, because, the elves are on strike because they want better benefits. And they show up to help out. And it's like, everything's wonderful. They're making like the stereotypical wooden toys. And Santa's like, no, we don't make that anymore. And he throws them in like this dark dungeon of a
with posters
workshop.
Of I'm watching you.
Yeah, and it's like this sweatshop of making electronics.
They did the latest video game thing.
Yeah, and so that was quite funny because it shows the different shift of things. Because we still see, the idea of all Santa's workshop making all these like basic wooden toys, and it's like, no, that's not what kids are asking for now. So it doesn't really follow
the latest
suit.
In video game high-speed processors.
Yep. So
speaking of that, we watched Elf.
Yes.
John Favreau's classic.
Yeah.
With Will Ferrell.
Which we like because, speaking of the toys, is because they actually show them making some licensed toys.
Yeah, and because it's all based off of Rankin and Bass stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things where literally there was just the episode on Netflix, the holiday movies that made us, that did a little like 45-minute documentary kind of feel about that, which was pretty interesting to watch.
Yeah, I learned a lot actually.
So that's worth it if you're looking for something to do, to watch those. The toys that made us and the movies that made us, that stuff's been kind of hit and miss for me for information or entertainment. Sometimes it's just like a BuzzFeed article where you're just like waiting for something amazing to happen, and
it's a little too much of stuff you already knew.
Yeah,
and I like that this holiday one, there was all stuff I didn't know anything about.
Yeah,
Elf, right? So.
Which is kind of cool. But Elf is always a good fun time. Like, what is your favorite parts of Elf?
My favorite parts, I like watching him decorate Santa's village when he gets there the first time. All of the stuff that he does and how quickly and amazing he decorates all of that sort of stuff. My My absolute favorite is the end scene, though, with everything with them, trying to spread the cheer. It makes me cry at the end every single time, because I love how that spreads the infectious aspect of singing. And it was interesting, because we also watched Krampus this time here too, and they talked about, in Krampus, she talks about the sacrifice and the willingness to give and that type of part of the spirit idea. And with Elf, watching that, I thought about that concept of sacrifice. And, with her saying she doesn't like to sing around people because it's embarrassing. A lot of people find that embarrassing. Well, it's the best way to spread cheer.
And singing loudly for all those to hear.
And I thought about it, like with her trying to say that she's going to go sing, she's sacrificing her feelings of embarrassment and her comfort to try to bring cheer. So in you use that same concept, she is definitely spreading cheer, because that's the spirit right there, is getting outside your comfort zone and thinking that something is more important than what my little bubble tells me. And I was like a whole like another level to it. And like,
you look at Hobbs though at the very end too. He realized he's not singing because he's too embarrassed. And once he sings, then then
it's the 100%, right? And so I really love. I love the way it ends. It's just so. It's such a different style of movie. And
then it just pretty much ends.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So those are probably my two favorite scenes with that. The other thing too would be when he takes her on the date, because he's so happy. Yeah. There's just sheer happy, stars in his eyes, wonder. Yeah. And I love how her kind of icy veneer melts. So what about you?
I'm a big fan of the beginning. Yeah. Just all the weirdness with the elves and the fact that he's just this giant in a little world, and the little claymation.
I love how he's running over everything, like crashing into things. Yeah. Like, really? You honestly didn't think that something was wrong?
Right. And then just when he gets to New York and all that, like going through the tunnel and all that, like it's just a funny movie. It's a fun one.
I went through the Lincoln Tunnel.
So just
I love that he has adapted enough as a human to walk from the North Pole to New York.
Oh, there's tons of actual
it's hilarious
problems with it. Like when you actually think about it, like the fact that he was able to survive in the North Pole with just the elf tights on. Yeah. And make it
I think that he has gained some magic.
And then, then all his abilities for crafting and all that,
snowball fight.
He couldn't make toys, but he can build that entire thing in one night. Yeah. The snowball fight, he has like super
a mechanical
speed,
arm,
right? Yeah, it just spins around like a windmill. Yeah. So
also too, how did he actually survive on those four main food groups? Right. I mean, really, because he is in good shape. So apparently he didn't need to put on extra fat to layer up and keep warm. No. Nor did he, he somehow ran okay on just pure sugar.
Yeah. So apparently that's what we need to try.
Okay. We're going to try the elf diet. Yeah. We're going to go move up to the tundra.
Candy canes, candy corn, syrup.
Candy and syrup.
Just thinking about that. Just
the idea of the syrup on the spaghetti. Oh. So
it wouldn't be so bad if there wasn't the sauce on it too, though.
I like the mailroom scene too.
How can that dude be 26?
Oh, hard life, man.
That's like harder than hard. Like,
I know, right?
That's just it's horrible.
So when he starts pouring the liquor into his coffee,
syrup.
Kiddo's like, coffee. What's going on with that? We're like, that's liquor, like hard liquor. He's like, oh.
They don't seem drunk. They seem stoned.
They seem a little out, not just drunk, because they're talking really well
when they're just so like chill about it, right? Mm-hmm. So like, what else did they get into? Right? Where is that deleted scene? Right. Well, you mentioned Krampus. We watched Krampus. That's one of my favorite modern traditions that we brought to the family. Yes. I realized it's from like 2015. I thought it was like, but yeah, it's that old already. It's 5 years old already. Yeah, because it took us some time to get into it, but it's already been that long. Yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah. Time has flown, man. Right? Like, 2016 is when we saw the maze. Your Krampus bell ornament is one of your prized possessions. Yeah, I like to remind Kiddo that I survived the Krampus when I was a child. Yeah, yeah. So, it was good times. That's what it is. I as much, because like some people have problems with Krampus because it's not a horror movie, right? Like it's not. But I like the
Do you know how many people die in this movie? How is it not a horror movie?
Well, the people want to... Because there's so many B Krampus movies. Right? Or C Krampus movies where it's just like sex and violence. In order
to be a horror movie, it has to be a B or... Just saying.
Some people subscribe to the fact that it needs to be rated R no matter what, and there needs to be blood and violence, sex and gore.
Okay.
That's a horror movie, right?
Okay.
So...
Okay.
I think that's what, especially after his fare being that with Trick or Treat, all those things are in that movie.
Yeah.
Right. So doing a PG-13 movie instead, and the way that it was like the spooky, scary, rubbed some people the wrong way. But what I was going to defend it, I was going to say is that I like the fact that it's that way because it still can be a family movie. Mm-hmm. It falls in the same vein of some of those old Amblin movies from the 80s that... You can show your kids, still a little spooky,
like
still
Jaws
scary.
Or something.
Well, but Gremlins even, right? Like there's nothing in this movie except for a couple F-bombs.
Yeah.
That is different from an 80s Amblin movie.
Yeah.
Right? And I like that. I like the fact that they can be shared.
Kiddo found, I think he kind of registered a little bit more how scary some of the toys really are this time around.
Yeah.
He seemed a little bit more...
last year was his first year watching it.
Yeah. He seemed a little bit more intense with it. But... I mean, I judge his reaction by how much he grasps onto my arm, and he can tell when something's going to start happening because he'll kind of creep over and grab onto my arm. But he never, like, latched onto me really bad or, like, jumped really bad. So he's doing pretty good with it, so.
Yeah. It's just a fun movie because it is the idea of finding that spirit of Christmas and that idea that maybe sometimes we're locked up with people that we don't want to be around, but, we can be a little nicer.
Well, because it's just the extreme of showing in the first opening scene there. Mm-hmm. And, yes, it's an extreme version of it, but that's our normal of expecting to be miserable and expecting to do traditions that we hate just because of it. Or, just so much of it is just so caught up in all that. But I like... that it's not just talking about Christmas, it's talking about how their life is kind of overall. He wishes for his parents to be better together and him to be close with his sister, and it's not just the Christmas aspect, it's that feeling all year round, right? And so there's a lot of good message in it still, for sure. So, and
I just love the way it's shot and the way it looks, and everything is beautiful. There's so much love and detail in every creature that's in that movie that I die for a sequel. Yeah, I don't care if it's still PG-13. I would love to just see more Krampus adventures and other snow globes.
Well, because Kiddo was saying, he's like, there's no reason why they can't make another one of these and just make another house, another family. You could have
more
a different feel.
They should even look at doing like the anthology idea with it.
Oh yeah,
like Trick or Treat.
Yeah, there's no reason why they can't do this. They need, if they are going to make a sequel, they can't touch this family again though.
No,
because it would ruin it. But there's no reason why.
That's why I wonder if they did like the anthology idea where like you see like multiple families and you see maybe like different stages.
Well, even if they went like, what would be interesting would be to say go to the boyfriend's house where the sister disappeared too. Yeah. I mean, that house was destroyed. Yeah. Kind of want to know maybe what happened there too. So you could always have that going on, maybe the whole street was decimated because they're all broken. They can't be the only ones that are kind of live in that whole, shiny, I have to show the world certain things. Maybe they all kind of felt called Krampus. Yeah. So
it'd be interesting to see if they ever did another one, if they ever like pulled off Krampus's mask and they actually gave Krampus a face. Mm-hmm. Right? Like,
yeah, he's creepy. So.
And every year would not be complete without watching Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of those ones where we can like say every line we sing to. It's like a bad karaoke bar.
Yeah. Kiddo laughs at us. He's like, you literally know this movie inside and out. Yep. Yes, we do.
And that's one of those movies that I love from day one. I'm not going to spend much time on it because we've done 2 episodes already kind of about it. Yeah. So go find those and check out, because Nightmare Before Christmas is a classic. It's probably one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, not just holiday. It's all time for sure.
It has a lot of meaning to it. So yeah, we have 2 episodes. One that's a nice little one. It's me reading you the Nightmare Before Christmas poem. So, you might want to crack that open.
Yeah. So it's a good story.
So we found Netflix gave us The Grinch, the 2018 version.
Yes.
We had not watched this since we've seen it in theaters. Mm-hmm. And
that's the Benedict Cumberbatch one.
Yeah, and it was the animated one from Illumination.
Mm-hmm.
So we were able to watch that again.
Yeah, we hadn't been able to watch it at all because we didn't want to buy it. We weren't sure about that. And so we were super excited when it showed up on Netflix to be able to watch it.
I remember it being kind of mixed where like...
I remember being pleasantly surprised by it. And I'm sure we've, talked about it, but pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
But not as blown away. So I was excited to watch it again to see how that feeling was.
This would be like a moment of radnesia, right?
Right, because I remember like, okay, so was it actually that I was just like, oh wow, this isn't horrible, or did I really like it? Right?
Yeah. So thoughts and feelings on watching.
So some of it I still really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Portions of it. But overall, the luster that I remember having for it, there was some more irritation with it than I had originally remembered. I had forgotten how much hip hop there really was, like the music in it and everything. And that kind of threw me out of it. And I remember now thinking of Illumination, like they really liked doing that sort of stuff with their animated. And I just, he was almost a little too nice.
Yeah.
He hated Christmas, but he wasn't, for lack of better words, evil enough. Like he was a little bit of a prankster, but he wasn't like cranky, awful.
He had his moment at the beginning, but it melted really quickly.
Yeah. So like overall, it's not a bad interpretation of it, but is it going to be my go-to one? No.
Yeah.
What about you?
I realized placement for some of the music didn't make a whole lot of sense. I was really disappointed that they gave you the Grinch song right at the beginning before you even saw him doing anything evil or mean or bad. Yeah. And like that song should have been playing more when he was in town getting more food.
It would have been perfect, when he started doing a little bit of like when he ate the pickle, tried to eat the pickle out of the jar and put it back. Like those were not good things.
Or when he dropped the jam.
Yeah, those would have made sense to actually have the song going on.
Yeah, right. Versus him just being at home, and it was just like you're literally just forcing it that you were supposed to not like him because he's mean, but you've made him just kind of a regular person in those opening scenes.
Yeah. People not really happy to get out of bed or, because he's not cruel to Max.
No, this is probably the nicest he is to Max out of all three versions.
Yeah.
Right. So,
I did really like Cindy Lou Who in this though. Yeah. She's adorable. And it's cute how much she wants to help her mom. And it's a different way of showing how much she cares for the world and outside of herself, for the fact that it's not just, in the live action, it's her caring about friends and just overall people. In this one, it was just so much of wanting to care about her mom. And so that was pretty cute for sure.
I think it's interesting how each of them actually does bring something different to the lore of the Grinch in some form. Especially with like the live action, like, it's a lot of like questioning authority and questioning traditions.
Yes.
And, this one here is more of finding family, right? So it's interesting how they all kind of do something a little different.
Yeah.
And it's probably because I grew up with it, but I still love the live action one because the Grinch feels mean. He feels vile. He feels evil.
Yeah.
Right. And it feels like he may have learned his lesson easier, like more with it than say this one where it just kind of, I don't even really remember how he came around to it.
Well, it is almost that idea where this one was trying to base it so much on the original and then just expand it from there versus the live action, which was like a really different
it
story,
kind of made it its own,
giving it more of its own history and more of a background for it and more of a reasoning for things. Yes, this one, the Grinch shows, his lack of family and that he was just lonely. But the live action almost gives you more of a reason to understand why he detests the Who's.
Yeah.
There's a lot more of an understanding for it. And, this one just, it happens so much more quickly. The live action is a lot more of a natural feeling where you're not going to just be like up and be okay with it. He tried multiple times to try to change around and give them the option and everything. And it felt a little bit more real to have him change. But that was the other thing with this one. I know we had talked about, though, that the narrator, Pharrell Williams, just didn't feel...
Have the gusto.
Yeah, because if you're going to have a narrator, not like it has to be like Boris Karloff, but he has so much more bravado to his voice. And
well, same with Anthony Hopkins there, right? But it was just so... sometimes, too, it was hard to hear because it was just so quiet and mousy and hard to believe.
Yeah.
That the Who's in Whoville were just like chill and...
Yeah, just like a little whimsical, but without being whimsical enough.
Yeah. It was a couple of times I was like, wait, who's talking? Oh, wait, it's a narrator. What?
Yeah.
So a lot of the other characters
missed a little bit of marks, but...
Yeah. So definitely not my favorite out of all the ones, but it's like ranking up the charts on Netflix like no other here. Yeah. It's always number one.
Yeah, and it's not bad by any means. There's still the fun... It's pretty to look at. It's bright, and
Cumberbatch did a good job with the Grinch, and I think Keane Thompson did a good job with the Friend.
Yeah, he's adorable.
So there's some really...
He's just so happy,
right?
And I really do like that.
And he's not a jerk about it either. He's just like...
He's just, well, as he called him, what is the happiest person in the whole world type thing. So I like all the Who's. That was the one thing that's different with the live action is that they show some of the Who's more like real people, where some of them are just really horrible too. And it's not just the Grinch. The Grinch is almost just calling them on their BS.
Yeah, right.
And that's about it, right? So, but in this one here, it's much more like the original anime where the Who's are all just wonderful
in
and
their
loving.
own little world, almost.
Yeah, right. So,
So there's that. That's the beauty is you got three different Grinches to choose from. You get the classic, you get the
and to me there's always something that each one of them bring. As you say, there's different lessons in them both. So
right. So we have a classic we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And this is one of your favorites. And I've seen actually multiple postings about how people love this movie. Mm-hmm. And we're going to talk about it.
Well, okay, so back in the Rankin and Bass, of course, stop motion ones, my favorite being The Year Without Santa Claus, but another one of the classics that I grew up with, of course, in my house was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. This is one of my father's favorite. Like, he loves the characters from it for sure, and it's just always been a classic around. And so we watch it every year, and we thought it'd be fun. We watched it with, we watched Rudolph in the morning and Elf for dinner because we thought, it kind of, that they go hand in hand because Elf being based on it. And so, we thought we'd give this a try. And every year I find more things where like, really?
It loses its luster.
And, even with The Year Without Santa Claus, like... That one is not, even now I'm losing a little bit more of that luster where it's becoming a little bit more like, well, I'm supposed to be watching it. But this one, Rudolph this year, really came into the questioning, why are we watching this again? Should we be watching this? The dating of it really came out, and there was multiple times where I was like giant red flags of like, really, this isn't the best story.
No. The more I watch that one, because that was never one that I grew up with.
Yeah.
So that was introduced to me from you when we got together. So it was never really something I ever watched, and it was interesting watching it over and over again and realizing that there are parallels to the story for different things, diversity and whatnot, and disability, and even as far as going as orientation, right?
Oh, yeah.
But it's not done the best because, they're so mean to those that want to be different, look different, or like, and they only ever seem to come around when they save the day. And it's kind of like...
Well, first off, in general, I mean, as a kid, you learn Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer song. And then when you think about it as an adult, you're like, the song itself says that they're not accepting Rudolph until he has proved that he is useful.
Yeah.
And just that alone is really not okay.
It's not the best message.
No, it's not.
Right.
And, I'm not usually one who wants to pick apart things too much to the point where it's like under a microscope. But this is one of those ones where I think it could probably be modernized and taught better, because you could be too literal on it, and it's reinforcing a concept on a subliminal end.
Oh yeah,
where they're only okay now because he can do something.
They found his worth to get past his disability.
Exactly. Rather than, oh, you have a red nose?
What
cool.
else?
That's where it should stop.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between reflecting the real world, because we know that the real world exists, where there are people that are going to say, I don't want to see past this.
Yeah.
But reinforcing that narrative over and over again. And it's, if we keep telling ourselves that we have to look and we have to pick it apart, wait for them to prove they're useful, then accept them, we just keep telling ourselves it's the only thing we can do, rather than this is modeling what we should be doing, which is, cool, you have a red nose? That's awesome. Yeah. And then story done.
Well, because what's worse about this version of it, though, is Santa comes up. He's all like, oh, look, you've got a new little reindeer.
Oh, yeah, because the movie made it 10 times worse.
And then Rudolph's all like, Santa? He's like, oh, look how smart you are. And then all of a sudden his nose goes, he's like, whoa, you should be ashamed for your red-nosed reindeer. You should hide him away.
He tells Donner that he should be ashamed of his child because he's red. And you need to fix this.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so was he supposed to hide it, or was he supposed to kill him?
Right?
Like, at what level was
Where
it
did he
supposed to
hand
be?
him the shotgun?
Yeah.
Old
Fix
Yeller
this.
moment.
Boom. This is what would have happened. And that would be more of a realistic of what actually did happen back then, unfortunately, right? They did used to throw mutated people off, right? And then you have Hermes, which is definitely a parallel to orientation of some sort, whether it's sexual orientation, gender, anything, you could use it right now, because he acts totally different than them. He doesn't go to their little conform school. He doesn't want to. It's
elf lessons or conformity.
Well, and then you think about just workplace aspect, right? His boss is yelling at him of how dare you not like your job?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to speak out that there's anything wrong with your job. And then they go to. I love how you pointed this out. They're singing the song that they're supposed to do for Santa, and Santa, he's like, you have to be there to sing to your overlord about how much you love your job and how wonderful he is.
And he's just sitting there going, you guys are all crappy. You suck. Sing louder. I hate this song.
Santa is really an asshole in this movie, like really bad. And it's just, you look at all this stuff and it just went from bad to worse. Like,
but then, even still, like later on, then when Rudolph is like out there and doing everything, he's growing up a little bit, and
the reindeer games,
and then his nose falls off. They see him jumping, he's all happy, and Santa's like, awesome, you figured this out, you fixed your kid. Yeah. Then the nose pops off, he's like, kill him, destroy your mutant boy, right? And shame on your family. And it's like, whoa.
Yeah. And they're all just like, you can't talk
all of a
sudden,
his fact that he's ahead of every other reindeer by jumping is negated just because he had a red nose.
Right.
And they're just like, this is unacceptable behavior.
Right.
He shouldn't look this way. He should look like everyone else. Conform like my elves or die.
Okay. Calm yourself. But then with him taking off, it's just this weird adventure with, the Bumble. I think he's hilarious that the Yeti changes sizes depending on what works for them.
Yep.
At one point, he is, towering over them where all you can see is his lower leg. Mm-hmm. Then he is peering over the mountains.
Yep.
And then pretty soon he's just standing on those mountains in a regular size.
And then he's able to fit in Santa's village.
And then he's only about twice the size as Cornelius. Yep. Okay, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. It's so funny. That's the world of animation where they but I decided that it was the idea of, the unknown. He was the biggest when you didn't know what he was. And then it's like he got smaller almost as he became more of a character.
Yeah.
And it was almost like the fear, the fear, made him bigger than he really was, because whenever a monster is unknown, legendary. Yeah, he seems impossibly huge, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, okay, well, this is it, right? But it is really sad, though. Like, yeah, he was attacking them. I get it. But you are, wandering around his home and, all this sort of stuff. And
a sore tooth.
And you go and you rip out all of his teeth and be like, yeah, so you are helpless now. You can't eat anything. So now... You have to come work for us.
It's like
because otherwise you're going to die.
It's like declawing your cat.
Yes. Like, it actually made me really sad this time around. It's like, you pulled out all the monster's teeth and now you control him. Like, this is not okay.
So, just like we did with Disney,
we ruined Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer for you.
Or we've really triggered you.
But I know, right? But I think next year we might have to rethink adding this to our watch list, because I'm Kiddo was actually like saying some of the stuff with
before
us
we even said anything,
understanding it too. Because when they in this movie though, like because in the song, of course, it's much quicker, where it's like, okay, you're useful, now we accept you. When they do come back, they do say, I'm sorry, we should accept you, before his nose is glowing and the storm is going on. So there is that. They do say, because I think also Santa realized that, well, my lead reindeer I can't do anything without has now left to look for you. So maybe I should try to accept his son because I need him to do my job. But
that's awesome.
That's a very pessimistic approach. But they do have a change of heart before the storm happens.
Yeah.
So there is that, and I will give it a little bit of grace, but I think that getting there is just reinforcing a lot of bad actions that shouldn't happen in the first place. And I don't know if it shows the gravity of how bad their actions really are.
Yeah.
And I think it needs to be, we need to have less of I freaked out and I shunned you and now I'm sorry because I've already traumatized you and made you have all these problems. And now I'm supposed to be, I'm sorry, and where everything's supposed to be forgiven. We need to move in our culture. We need to move more to I didn't traumatize you in the first place because you don't deserve to have that put upon you. So I don't need to apologize for anything. Yeah. That's where we need to move towards. And
then force you into working.
So now we need to find, we need to have it redone where, he was it was interesting and wanting to see, what he had to offer from the very beginning.
Yeah, that the nose could maybe get him into trouble. Maybe it makes him more curious because he can go into dark holes or something. I don't know.
Or the fact that he's already kind of more developed in his flying, that could easily cause a problem. Mm-hmm. Or, maybe he's giving away the secret location of the North Pole because he flies up in the air in his giant red blaring nose.
Yeah.
And with Hermes, you could easily have the problem where he doesn't fit in, but he doesn't know what to do either.
Yeah.
It would be difficult to be and that is the idea where you're in a culture where there's, it's kind of hard to get out of maybe some traditions of things, but not that you're lambasted for it. It's more of your own, trying to discover who you really are and finding that journey with it. Right. So there's different ways they could talk about it, but I don't know. I don't normally am not one to be like, maybe something shouldn't be watched, but this one almost deserves the warning of this was from a different time. Yeah.
Me too.
But you know what? And all the claymation ones, this one here is my least favorite Santa Claus.
Oh yeah, because he's a jerk.
Because he's such a jerk,
Actually, all the Santa Clauses are though. Even in Year Without Santa Claus, he's a pretty big dick too.
The only time he is nice is in Here Comes Santa Claus because he's not yet. That was
jaded.
Yeah, exactly. That was him being a young man getting into the business, right?
Yeah.
So that's the best one.
Yeah. So
that one we did not watch this year.
No, we didn't. So I'll have to watch that next year to see if
we can ruin that one too. So that was our watching of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah. If you still enjoy it, that's cool. Everyone has their own views and everything with it. That's the thing, right? That's the beauty of everything. And it was a different watch this year and for us, and it changed, or our opinions changed on how it
I wonder if your schooling and your job now has affected anything, just looking at the world a little bit differently.
Probably.
Seeing a different point of view and
I know that's affected how I watch a lot of media now, and
seeing how because you learn so much about trauma, you're working with children who have the disabilities who most likely get judged all the time, honestly. Seeing how you're constantly that narrative is getting reinforced that so I think that's going to change things for sure.
Exactly. So. From that, we watched a lot of movies, actually.
We did,
but we're also a few days later, right? So that's probably why you're getting some extra ones. We did the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, and
always a classic.
That one's fun.
Another one which I can
quote pretty much
word for word.
Yeah, and that's another one that's heavy rotation because it's pretty funny. But one that we picked up last year, I think it was, and we watched again this year, was Office Christmas Party.
Yes,
because it wouldn't be a Christmas episode without an R-rated comedy.
Yes,
so Christmas Office Party came out a few years ago. It stars Jason Bateman. It's the idea of it's an office Christmas party.
Yeah. Well, T.J. Miller and Jennifer Aniston. So T.J. Miller plays he's like the branch manager of this tech company.
Yeah, server company.
Yeah, server. And Jason Bateman is like the head of the development manager thing. So he's kind of upper management with that. And Jennifer Aniston plays T.J. Miller's sister, who is the interim CEO of the company in general. And she is just very jaded for the family-wise. With the father passing, he was obviously really favored T.J. Miller, the brother. And she believes that he's just a goof-off and that he's running the company, his branch into the ground. And she wants that control over it. She's very straight-laced and very stern and scary and very businesswoman. And she marches in and basically says, well, you're not making budget and we're going to cut 40% of your staff, and we do that or we close the whole branch because I just closed a branch this morning. Like, she's just going through and cutting things. Yeah. And they were going to plan their Christmas party. Well, she cancels the Christmas party. It says, that's not happening. It's a waste of money. And they're trying to
land a new account. If they land that account, then they will.
Then she'll keep all the staff because it's a big enough contract, and she doesn't believe at all that they will do it. And so it's this mad dash for this, and their sales pitch. No wonder it fails because, oh my God, it was depressing to watch, and how much it kind of fell apart. Well, then their last mad dash to get something, they invite him to this massive Christmas party.
Our Christmas party. You want to see that they're off because he heard rumors they were closing. So it's like, hey, no, we're not closing. We come see this massive party we're throwing. Like, of course we're not closing. We're having a big Christmas party bash. Yeah.
So then he's mad dash to plan this epic Christmas party, which you find out he's basically just funding for personally, and it goes the hijinks that ensue when you accidentally introduce cocaine to the party. In a snowblower. Because it starts out really, really slow and everyone's just like, oh my God, this is like, mind-numbingly horrible. The uncomfortableness that happens.
Yeah, because everyone knows that they're getting fired.
Yeah, because they're all worried about this and they're just like, this is just horrible. And then, not like we want to promote the use of cocaine, but it's that concept, though, of having something that livens up the party and an icebreaker, right? Yeah. And it just happens to be a really dangerous icebreaker.
Right.
So,
it's a funny movie. It's ridiculous. It's up there with all those other R-rated ones that we've watched this past year.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of fun just to see, because I think it's the palate cleanser of just. Sometimes you watch so many family movies and Christmas movies and you're just like, okay, I still want to watch Christmas, but I need something. I need a little.
Well, because it's not about Santa or the actual. It just happens to be set at Christmas time and giving it a vehicle with the Christmas party aspect, right? But he's trying to give back and look out for people. And you find out what a good boss that he really is. He really does care about it. There's a little bit of romance in it. There's a lot of humor and ridiculousness in it.
It's full on ridiculous.
Yeah. And it's really good. It's a good laugh, and it's got a good heart to it. You know, like you really like how it feels almost natural how they come around, and how it kind of ends up. And then, so I really do like that. But there's a lot of people in it.
Yeah.
So
out of everything that we've watched over this last 2 months of Christmas,
oh my goodness,
that we've devoured, we probably won't do this next year.
Don't ask me a favorite.
So, no, not favorites, but like recommendations of things that you've watched. Like if people have got like one more day to watch something, what would you tell them to watch? 1 or 2 things, or 3 or 12. I don't know, whatever.
Just whatever. Do
you want me to go first?
You go first. I would recommend Klaus. Like
Klaus would totally be up there.
Klaus, yeah, however you want to say. I know that one for sure because we talked about that last episode how much we really recommend it. So
I would say definitely check out Fat Man.
Yes,
because that one is darkly.
It was so different, right? Yeah.
And the more I sit back and think about it, the more I realize how much I actually did enjoy it more than I thought.
Yeah. So then we have already added 2 new ones for next year as new traditions to replace things like Rudolph.
Rudolph, Fat Man.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, we got to get, we've been losing our adult Christmas movies, and it's going to be years before Kiddo can watch Fat Man. So we got a new adult Christmas movie on our list. Yeah. Okay.
For me, Krampus and Nightmare are always up there.
Yeah.
Muppets Christmas Carol.
Santa Claus, I always love.
So, you've got a lot to choose from. You know what?
I still, even for myself, though, if you really want like a Hallmark movie of some sort, I really did like that Happiest Season.
That was a good movie.
I really did like that.
That was really good.
I kept wanting to think about other Christmas movies. Okay. Oh, I totally forgot.
Yeah.
I snuck some Christmas movies in on the side when you weren't home.
Wow.
I know, right?
Wow.
And Noel was one of them.
Oh, okay. You rewatched that one.
Yeah, I rewatched that one. And because I remember enjoying that one. And I actually still really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Like, I really liked it. For such it was a different concept for it being, as if the Kringles are a family and it's a business that just keeps being passed on, like almost like a throne type thing. Yeah. Right. And the journey of finding the spirit of Santa Claus and not having it caught up in a tradition of, say, being a man, and how she falls into she develops the Christmas magic that is involved with being Santa because of her spirit over her brother.
Yeah.
She and her visit to Phoenix she goes into, but just the people that she sees and, the joy that she's trying to bring them without meaning to. She's just exudes it. And then she gives this end speech to the elves at the end to bring back their spirit and basically convince them that it makes sense that she should be the new Santa. And it was just so heartwarming because she talks about how, for her, it was always such a given to have Christmas rather than a privilege of it. And it was always just a given to be given things. She just enjoyed her little princess Christmas throne that she got on. And, she went to the homeless shelter and she saw the people that just wanted their, mom to have a job for Christmas.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's a privilege to be able to celebrate it. And it's even more of a privilege to be able to give that to someone. And it was really heartwarming. And I really, really enjoyed it. So that's another Hallmarky type one. That's on Disney Plus. So
yeah.
But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? I went and I watched something myself. I was like, you know what?
You got a little side action too.
I got a little Christmas side action.
And you went with
Jingle All the Way.
Yeah. Some Arnold side action.
That's right. Yeah, well, cats woke me up and I didn't know what to do. And I was like, I actually felt like something Christmassy. And I had mentioned this before to Kiddo too. And he was just like, whatevs.
Yeah.
And so
I'm glad you watched it.
So I watched it this morning while I half awake at, cuddled up alone on the sofa.
Yeah, the cat didn't even come back to
cuddle you. Didn't. Usually he comes after I feed him. He usually comes and cuddles, but apparently he was just like, whatevs. But no, yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's trying to find Turbo Man for his son, and Anakin Skywalker's in it, Jake Lloyd, back in the day.
Oh, okay.
It's ridiculous. It's just like one of those 90 comedies where it's just, you know, pratfalls and just slapstick, craziness. You know, and I still find it funny.
Hey, you know what? It's just silly humor.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those ridiculous, like, it falls in, like, it's not as good as, say, Home Alone, but it's in that kind of, like, ridiculous realm of it.
Yeah.
So.
Look at that, so many options.
Yeah, you literally could watch.
It's the schmozzle.
Oh. Schmozzle.
Schmozzle. How does one spell the word schmozzle?
I don't even care.
Smorgasbord, if you will. Yep. That happened.
Yep.
Okay.
That was my,
any more
Muppet
Christmas?
moment.
Yeah.
No, you know what? That's it. You know what you need to do now is go enjoy Christmas. A little holly, a little jolly. A little bit of everything.
A little bit of everyone. I hope, I know Christmas is weird this year for most people, but I hope that there's been joy that you found in, because we can find joy no matter what.
No matter where we are, no matter what we're with.
We are.
I can find joy with this blanket right now. Brings me great joy.
It's soft warm. And fuzzy and warm.
And with a good movie, it can make me forget that I need other people around me. Just saying. And we had like 8 episodes of Christmas movies. So you can go pick one of those.
So you can go binge the heck out of whatever streaming service you have.
So you can just forget about needing to be close to people. Or you just go back and binge our episodes and it's like having someone right there with you.
Yeah.
So I hope everyone's doing well. You know, also too, I gotta say, there's some other ones that we never got to this year, but we'll try again next year maybe. But Adam Neeson, he had, with his podcast, he started his own little film company, Mooncat, and they released a Christmas short called Sleigh.
Oh, that's awesome.
So go find that. It's pretty cool. It's like 5 minutes.
Nice.
So it's a pretty fun one. So check that out. He's, trying to build up some exposure for their movie that they're making that keeps getting put on hold because of, all that stuff. So, but go check out his stuff. It's Adam Neeson, Mooncat Productions.
Nice.
So it's on YouTube and Twitter and Instagram and all that jazz. So
it's awesome.
But besides that, stay safe, be good, be nice to people. Be kind, stay away from others because, maybe
we kind of need to think about everyone in the world.
Yeah.
Especially this time of year, we need to love a little bit more and be joyful a little bit more.
Yeah.
And think about long-term happiness and health for everyone.
Yeah. And as I say, watch some good movies. You'll forget about everybody. I do it all the time.
That's the secret.
Right? That's the secret to joy. Good movies.
Well, on that note, Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays. Stay rad.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening. Want more rad content? Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And don't forget to subscribe, rate us, and leave us a review.
And remember, be excellent to each other and party on, dudes!